Zooey Mama, how are we doing today, everybody? I am joined here by Glazer of Snap Judgments, and we are going to be ranking all of the Series 4 and Series 5 cards in Marvel Snap with this tier list showing the best and worst cards that you could possibly chase after with your very precious resources for your collection. So I'm glad to have Glazer on here with me. How are you doing today, Glazer?
I'm great. I'm really excited to be on the Newberries channel. Like, I can't believe it's my first time here.
I know it is your first time on my channel. I think I've now been on your pod, so definitely return the favor there. I appreciate you coming on, and we'll just go ahead and get started. We're gonna rank all of these cards in these tiers as I mentioned. The order in the tiers does not matter. I'm first just gonna place them Series 4 first, and then alphabetically. And at the end of the video, I'll post a nice picture where it has like brackets around the Series 4 cards, so you know which ones cost 3,000 tokens. So let's go ahead and get started with Dawkin. Glazer, I'll pitch this one to you first. Where do you think Dawkin fits on this tier list of value for players' collections?
I mean, we're going to start with an F. Dokken is very clearly an F. There's a series. Is Strong Guy series 2 or 3?
It's two, one or two. Yeah.
Okay, so Strong Guy is early series at the very least, and
Yes.
about as good as Dokken. Like, there's very little reason Dokken can't be a 3-5 and be totally balanced. This
Right.
is definitely an F. Wait till done.
Yeah, I agree. The F tier is wait for drops or buffs. Maybe he gets both. Who knows? But yeah, Series 4. He's only 3,000 tokens, but man, he's never been meta, and the power in the game has gone up a lot since he came out. All right, next up we have Darkhawk, who has seen a fair share of nerfs, but still finds a way into the meta. Is about to be really good when Fastos and Airship come out. I think too. Is Darkhawk A tier, B tier? What are we thinking?
S tier? Why is Darkhawk not S tier?
You think he's still S tier?
I think nothing has ever stopped him from being S tier. I think they made Darkhawk, he was in S tier, and then he has lived in S tier since. Like Gnome just won the Pursuit Gaming tournament thing with him.
That's true.
Just because people don't play Darkhawk doesn't mean Darkhawk's not incredible.
Right.
Um, like we can put it in A tier if you want,
Yeah.
right? But like within 3 weeks, we're gonna look foolish.
Yeah. I think in terms of strength, he is really strong. He's top tier in terms of strength, and it is a big benefit too. It's only 3,000 tokens, so the fact that you
Yep.
can get a top strength card for 3,000 tokens, I'll agree with you on this one. He is S tier, and it's not just one shell he fits in, right? You can mix Darkhawk with bounce. You mix him with like just good cards with blink stuff.
The
So he's
Nihilist control.
Yeah, he's a bit more flexible than just his standard package. All right, we've got another fairly weak previous season pass card in Ghost Spider. What do you think of Ghost Spider?
So I could see it being in B or C. Depends on how you want to like classify it. It's for specific decks, but the specific decks it's for suck.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
it's probably C. I think because it has those decks, it can't be F. But
right. Yeah, I agree. It is yeah, just four specific decks that aren't very good, or they're decks where you don't even really need her. Like she's an alternative option. So it's more the look, if you really like it, go for it, but definitely not needed for most things that you're gonna want to play.
and
So
just so we say it, the specific decks it's for are Phoenix Force and Move, neither of which are close to meta. I'll save more Phoenix Force thoughts till later.
yeah, that's a good point. I know you got some thoughts on recent changes. So then we've got Gladiator. Is Gladiator just A tier off the bat? Like he's a solid buy for anyone. He's not like overpowered, but
So, like, a lot of the problem I'm going to run into, and we talked about this a little off air, is I think that, like, okay, so Gladiator is A tier, almost certainly. He's a solid buy. He goes in an absolute ton of decks.
yeah.
But I'm not sure he's better than certain things for specific decks, right? So,
Hmm.
like, A and B are a little complicated in that way, where
Yeah.
certain solid buys are, like, solid buys, like, you're always happy to have them, but it's not going to go all over the place. Gladiator's going to go all over the place, but we'd rather have Gladiator than a Hyper. Like, here's a good one. U.S. Agent only goes in specific decks, right?
Hmm.
But those decks stop working without U.S. Agent, or at least a fair number of them stop working without U.S. Agent. Which of those would you rather have? Because the lettering says you'd rather have Gladiator, but I'm not sure that's always true.
Yeah, it kind of depends on the viewer, right? Who's
Hmm.
watching this, what their collection looks like, and what style of deck they like to play.
Yeah.
Um,
Do you want to play good stuff decks, or do you want to play like specific I'm doing things decks?
yeah, exactly.
Although Gladiator does have a very specific deck he's required. You need him for Zemo.
Yeah, you do. But yeah, I think I definitely prefer flexibility in terms of card value, how much play you can get out of a card over just raw power. But there are some, or over just specific archetypes. But there are some cards, specific archetypes, that are just a solid buy because they're OP or like borderline OP. Um, Next up, we have Havoc. Is this another C tier card? You don't need to play him, but you could play him in like a Ravana Professor X deck, or is it moved to B tier? What do you think?
I think it still has to be C. Like, you could just play Wolfsbane, you can just play Green Goblin, you can just play
Right.
Morph. Like, as good as he is, he's just not required. He's a good C tier, right? Like,
Yeah, yeah.
if we were ranking within tiers, he'd be higher up.
Yeah, I agree. Okay, what are your thoughts on Hitmonkey, another former season pass card, a card that used to be busted and bounced when he first came out in Ceradex? Where is Hitmonkey now?
I mean, I want to put him in S, but B. He goes in bounce and nowhere else.
Wait, you you want to put him in S, but B, no thought for A.
Like, he's not a solid buy. He goes in one deck.
Right. Yeah.
Like, I mean, there's 18 versions of that deck, but unless you're like him, I have literally 6 bounce decks out of 16 decks right now.
Uh
So
huh.
unless you're me, for me, he's A. He's so much more than S, although he's not
Right.
in one of those bounce decks. But what do you do? Like, if you don't want to play bounce, or
Yeah.
Sage takes him over in bounce, then what do you do? Right?
Yeah. I
Like,
don't
he's
play
just
him
sitting
too
unplayed.
much. Yeah. But yeah, he's good when you play his decks. Okay, then we've got Hercules, easy F tier.
LOL.
Yeah, right. Easy F tier.
Yeah.
We'll just
I
throw.
mean, is there something lower than F? Because like I'm feeling bad for
Maybe
Dokken,
he'll make an H tier for
right?
Hercules.
Because like Dokken is terrible, but like if you play Dokken, you can still like do good things. If you play
Yeah.
Hercules, I'm just like, huh, you're either going off or I'm stealing some cubes. Let's go.
Right, you're just trying to get boosters, your opponent's booster
Hmm.
farming. By the way, yeah, both these cards we could see getting a buff. It'd not be surprising. Then we've got
Hercules is wait, sorry, Hercules is in spotlights coming up soon, so that buff might come soon.
he's coming up with Arishem though,
Oh, so
so
maybe they just leave him
people are
terrible. They're
chasing
just like
Arishem, so they're like, let's throw in the bad Hercules and Black Swan. um, yeah, then we got Jean Grey. What are your initial thoughts on Jean Grey's rating?
so it's for specific decks for me, partially because of that ongoing deck, and partially
Yes.
because in Loki, adding Gene lets you beat Hela. Well, like
Okay.
if you go Gene Cosmo, you just beat
Yeah.
Hela. There's nothing they can do, right? Like
Yeah.
they run and you
Right.
get cubes.
Yeah.
So for those two, I think it's first. Like it's like again, rating cards is really hard. I think it's like if we're doing like out of 100, I think Gene is like a 75 and Hitmonkey's
Yeah.
like an 85, right?
Yeah.
But they're both in the same tier
Pretty
because they're
tied to
both
one
very
archetype.
specific.
Yeah.
Hmm.
All right. Then we've got Kitty Pride, another card that used to be overpowered, kind of went away for a bit, and now she's back, and now she synergizes so well with Thena as well. Is she A? Is she S? I mean, she's just kind of bringing more value as new cards come out, especially with Elsa Hope Summers. Like as more cards come out, Kitty just gets better and better. Is she a must-have now, or is she still solid buy?
Elsa, Hope, Angela, Athena. She has, and freaking, that's not to say Hitmonkey, Sage,
Mm,
Bishop. It's got to
yeah.
be S, right?
Yeah.
Like, like 3/4 of the decks in the game are just running Kitty, Angela, something as their early.
Yep. Yeah, it's a really small package. You fit in, and she's only 3,000 tokens. I think. I think she's Series 4.
Yep, she's
So
Series 4.
that's insane
Although, if
value.
you've been playing long enough, she
She
was
was
free.
free. Yeah.
Or, like, they paid you to get her, because if you bought her, they gave you back
Right.
more than you paid.
Yeah, it was awesome. All right, then we've got my favorite card in the game. We got Legion. I love me some Legion. Great in conquest mode. Just good power. Good for stealing cubes. Nice card just slap down turn 6. Surprise your opponent with some annoying locations. Is Legion. I personally like him as an S tier card, but I know I'm super biased towards him. Is he A tier, B
It's
tier? What are your thoughts on Legion?
He's C. I love Legion, but like unless you specifically love Legion, which is if it suits you,
Yeah, that's true.
he's not in any decks, right? Like he's great. I love Legion, but he doesn't exist.
Right, you don't see him, but and he's more. I think he's a bit better in conquest mode, and maybe at
Oh
lower
yeah.
ranks than he is like top of the ladder. So if you don't play much conquest mode either, then he kind of loses a bit of value there too. Then we've got Mobius. Where do you have Mobius?
like the definitive A, like a solid buy, is get.
Uh-huh. I like that. Especially again, where these cards are all 3,000 tokens to get a tech card that
Mm-hmm.
can shut down some stuff. And right now Ravana is running rampant. Like being able to shut that
Yep.
down for 3,000 tokens is pretty awesome. Then we have Nebula, who's just dropped to Series 4. She had been Series 5 since she came out as a Season Pass card. Just dropped to Series 4. Is she A tier, S tier? She doesn't get huge value right now because Kitty's everywhere and Kitty kind of counters Nebula, but normally she's a good, really strong one cost card. What are your thoughts?
She's still a solid buy, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Like you're not sad to own Nebula, right? Like
Right.
you stick your you like having Nebula on turn one to play fairly often blind is an extremely powerful.
Yes. All right. Then we've got Modoc, pretty tied to discard. Doesn't see a play
Mm-hmm.
in all discard decks. Hela is pretty much like the one big needed discard. But Modoc does see play in some. Is only 3,000 tokens. Where do you put Modoc?
Somewhere in the four specific decks, it's basically like Gene is needed for the ongoing decks, Monarch is needed for discard decks.
Right. And do you have Nimrod the same thing, or do you think Nimrod's
Nah,
worse?
Nimrod's deck is more niche, right? Like
Yeah.
so, the classic Apocalypse discard is still a real deck. It's still got a high win rate. It's still
Mm-hmm.
effective. It's just frustrating to play because opponents will often just drop Red Guardian and then cry. But like, it's
Yeah.
still a real deck. Um, the Nimrod thing has never sort of been above meme tier. It's never been meta. It's never been.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's C. Like, I don't think it's bad. I just think it's C.
Right. No, I agree with you. And Nimrod, even when he came out, he was a season pass card. He was a 5/5, and they buffed him to a 5/6. Pretty early on, I think. And yeah, it just never caught on too much. It's this kind of wombo combo, and your opponent kind of sees it coming too, right? They know you're gonna destroy or do like Carnage Venom last turn. Then we've got a card who started off really bad, and they buffed and then gave it a rework and then nerfed it. We've got Lady Deathstrike, and she is a 5/6 now, but she does kill all cards that have 3 or less power in her lane. Is she A still, or is she B after they brought her down to 6?
So Cersei will be out in the next 40 seconds, and then Lady Deathstrike has no.
Right, because she gets replaced by Cersei, you're saying?
Yeah, like I think basically always. But Cersei's strictly better.
Right, I think
Right?
so.
For like a nihilist type thing. So like I think that makes her a C.
Yeah. All right, then we've got Ravana. Is this automatic S tier, especially given the current meta?
Yep. You're Newberry, this is Nubu.
Yeah, exactly. The new boo. Yeah, once Zabu
Nubu.
got nerfed, Ravana's like, okay, it's my time to shine.
Thank you. Jeez, I've been waiting for this stupid cat. And then it's just like I'm the best.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then we've got Phoenix Force. I know you got a few things to say about Phoenix Force, especially with recent changes to move. What are
I
your
mean,
thoughts on Phoenix Force and where it ranks?
I think Second Dinner owes Jet like a fruit basket. Like he wrote like a 30-page document explaining every little nuance of how to use Phoenix Force,
Hmm.
trained people for free for months, and then they're like, no, let's break all of these and make the card medium. So it's a C.
And to clarify, the recent changes to move where cards, if you're moving them in a turn, they will now always visually move and like coding wise technically move at the very start before your other cards
Mm-hmm.
revealed. So if you played Hercules the same time, the same turn that you're moving Phoenix Force, Hercules won't bounce Phoenix Force back that turn. Phoenix Force is going to move and then Hercules flips. And it used to be different, and so it did take a big hit in my opinion on the
Mm-hmm.
same turn triggers. Then we have Null. Basically, huge powerhouse in Destroy. If you want to play Destroy, you want Null. And maybe see some playing like a Mr. Negative, some shenanigans over time. Mainly a Destroy card. Where do you have Null?
It's an S.
I think it's S. What if you don't play Destroy?
Do you play any negative? Because it's either of those, and it's must have. Like it's not like you might want to have it to play one of those. I
Right.
don't think. I think all the best Mister Negative decks, literally every destroy, even.
Yeah. Do you think it's a must have for every player in the game, though? Like every person? I don't play
Okay. I
Null,
guess
I guess is my point.
so. I don't play Null either, but like that's because there's no bounce destroy. Um. Okay. Fine. A.
Yeah. I like A just because it's not as flexible as the cards that are really like, okay, you got to have this card. Like, must have in order. If you see someone post a deck online, if you don't have this card, you're probably in trouble. And that's going to
Mm-hmm.
happen often. All right, we've got Celine.
No,
Uh,
we don't. F.
kind of awkward card. Yeah, 1, 2.
She's in the conversation for the worst card.
Do you
Like
think
she's worse than Hercules. Like there's one card worse.
Do you think Galactus decks make it C tier? Do you think they still want her
No,
enough or no?
like they ran her, but they never. She was like, we have an extra spot. Let's throw her in.
Yeah.
Like she could have been Howard. Nothing would have changed.
Then we've got Living Tribunal. Now Series 4 just dropped also. 3,000 tokens. That's pretty cool. Is Living Tribunal A tier? He's kind of flexible. Is he B tier? What do we think?
He's the same concept as Null, I'd assume.
Yeah, I agree. And he's
Right?
a
He
bit
has like
flexible.
18 different decks. He goes in Human Torch decks. He goes in, yeah, he goes obviously in Negative Tribunal, Ongoing Tribunal. Hell, he's in a lot of stuff.
Yeah, I agree. All right, we've got Djibouti.
Ah,
Maybe gets reworked again at some point. They alluded to that. But where's Djibouti right now? Can't be high
F.
up.
And F. Ravonna sits there from her perch, looking down, scoffing.
Yeah, I
You used to
agree.
be here with me.
I know. He was always S tier on my list. He's only 3,000 tokens too. But yeah, I think, and they're planning to rework him. So I guess if it's like a temporary bad, but he's definitely going to get buffed. How they do it, who knows?
Yeah, but like, don't buy him now, right? Like,
Yeah, wait until they.
wait and see. Yeah.
Yeah, or if he comes in spotlights. All right, we've
hmm
got 6-8 Eliath. Not seeing a ton of play right now, but Eliath is always kind of just a
So,
decent win condition. It can steal some cubes.
see?
You think so? You don't think he's B anymore?
I mean, what's name the deck?
I don't know. If you are still trying to beat like Hella or some cannibal shenanigans, is he still just a nice
Sure,
6-8?
he's kind of fine. How much are you seeing him to do that?
I don't see him that much. Everyone's playing
All
cannibal.
right, so C.
I guess C for now. Then we've got Annihilus. Is Annihilus S tier,
That's
A tier?
crazy.
What are your thoughts?
So, are we assuming they're nerfing Professor X?
We can't make assumptions, but we can assume the Professor X Cannonball, like Ravana Lockdown Slayer Blade deck, is going to get some kind of nerf soon when it happens exactly. But it
When
happens
when it
soon,
gets
and that helps junk decks.
when it gets nerfed, Annihilus is S tier.
Uh
Right
huh.
now, it's A tier. You
Okay.
decide between those two, but like it's the best package in the game when Professor X
Right.
is present.
Yeah, I agree with that. And Cersei's going to help it
hmm
because she's transforming the Void. And so we'll look at the list at the end. For now, I'll put him in A, but maybe we decide to move him up later. Baron Zemo, is he B tier?
Yeah,
He
he's B
makes an
tier.
archetype. Yeah.
I like his archetype too. He's way more fun than I thought he'd be.
Yeah. All right. Then
Yeah.
we've got Black Swan, automatic F. What are your thoughts?
Yeah,
Then I've got Blink here, although my Blink is shown as a 5.6. I must have an old image. Blink's a 5.7.
for now
And
until Thursday.
that's
Someone
true.
someone's telling someone's telling us that they have the new information.
Maybe it's foreshadowing that my old Blink file is they're gonna update her again, change her back to her pre-release stats. Um, where is Blink? Is she solid by? Is she a bit worse
I
after
think
they
she's an
changed
A. I
Leech? Yeah,
think she's an A.
I agree
Like
with that.
the problem with Blink has nothing to do with Blink. It's just like um she's on 5 and she's not Professor X or kind of.
Right. She's a
So
bit
like that's
slower than
gonna
the current
yeah.
deck running around.
Mhm.
All right, we've got Big Boy Blob, kind of replaced by Red Hulk, and obviously him getting nerfed, later Thanos getting nerfed. He's taken a few hits directly and indirectly. Where's Blob now?
See,
I agree with that. Then we've got Black Knight. Is Black Knight B tier? Or you think he sees enough
has to
playing
be.
discard? Yeah.
No, I think he's B tier. He's his own deck, right?
Right.
With
Yeah.
usually Blink stuff at this point. But yeah,
Mm-hmm.
he's good.
Yeah, he really helps build that archetype. All right, then we've got Cannonball. So is Cannonball S tier with an asterisk that
We
says
we
beware of nerf?
Yeah, you have to exactly. So S tier, but like too good, so probably going. Like
Right.
even without Professor X, which
Yeah.
which I told everyone for right, like Cannonball is a pain in the ass to play around.
Yes.
You're like, all right, so not only can they play 8 power there, they can play 8 power there, and then my 7 powers over there. But I already won over there, so I don't want 7 more power over there.
So we'll put him in S tier because he's kicking butt right now, but we'll put the asterisk. He's maybe too good. Um, Then we have Kyera, who, probably gets some more synergy over time, but right now, not a ton of play. Is she C tier? Question mark.
No, F. Like what? When do you need her?
If you wanted to
She's
play
six.
like Zoo
If she were 4,000 tokens. If you want to play Zoo and you see your opponent playing
or High
Destroy,
Evo, High Evo
retreat
stuff.
for a cube.
Yeah, she has 6,000 tokens. That's kind of a lot for a card that is kind of
Goes
niche
in
too.
maybe one deck,
Yeah,
maybe two,
maybe
and
two.
like even then, she's completely
Replaceable.
replaceable by a Series 2 card.
Yeah. All right, I agree with that logic. Then we've got Cole Obsidian. Maybe if Thanos comes back a bit more, he sees a bit more play. It was obviously pretty good originally when Thanos was like busted, and see some play in like Gunny T's Big Dumb Idiots deck. Not too much play outside of that now. Where do we have
Still
Cole?
in to be, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Thanos and Idiots decks both need him,
Yeah,
and like those decks aren't meta, but they're
they can win games.
yeah.
All right, then we've got Elsa Bloodstone. This one's kind of tough for me right now. It seems like she's getting better with the current meta. What do you think?
She's somewhere between S and A. I can see either one. I think I'd lean S, but that might be just my proclivity. I think that she's better than Hope Summers, which means
Ooh,
she's an S to me.
she kind of has a range of decks. I don't know if it's as flexible as a card like Cannonball, but she's pretty good. Maybe I'll move her to A for now. If we want to move her to S at the end, we can go ahead and do that, depending on how our
That's
list is
fine.
looking.
I don't mind having fewer S's anyway. Corvus Glaive is an A by the definitions we've been using.
Oh yeah,
Corvus is the Hella Null / Living Tribunal.
yeah.
Like the
Corvus
one big
is
yeah.
good. Corvus is a good card.
Yeah.
Definitely a worthy pickup. All right, then we've got Mockingbird, who seemed OP on release because Thanos was nuts, and so that was crazy. After the Thanos nerf, she calmed down a bit. She still sees some play, and Loki decks like her, a few other decks like her. Is she A? Is she B?
She's A. She's phenomenal.
Yeah,
I'm not convinced she's not S. It's just we're being strict with S, so I'm fine
yeah,
having her in S. But like she's borderline S. She's unbelievable.
yeah. I
A
agree.
3/9 is just so much.
It is, and she's often a 2/9. All right, next up we have Jeff, probably the most flexible card in the entire game. If not, it's got to be one of them, and you can put in about every deck. Is this just automatic S tier?
Yeah, probably the best card. I mean, this or Cannonball are the best card in the game.
Yeah, I think Jeff might be the best card to own, like just in general for your
Yeah.
collection, and we're not worried about him getting nerfed anytime soon.
Nope.
So it's like a forever big bad perfect. Yeah, they're never dropping him down Series 4, so you don't gotta worry about that. Then we've got Miss Marvel. Doesn't see too much play anymore. Some kind of Loki decks. B
B?
tier,
B feels right. She's
right?
too much stats to be in C, right?
Yeah, yeah. She's got good stats. I mean, she's 14 power.
Yeah. It's B.
Um. Okay, we won't even talk about this one.
Yeah, battling with Celine for the worst card in the game.
Yeah, yeah. Down there with Celine Hercules. Make a K tier for gang.
Yeah.
Then we've got Red Guardian. I really like Red Guardian. I'm a huge Red Guardian fan. I put him in a lot of decks. Right now he's good too with Angela, Athena everywhere. Is he easy A?
He's between A and B, but yeah, I could see A.
Okay. Yeah, we can always move him down.
He's just sort of replaceable, right? Like
Right.
he's amazing, but like Shadow King doesn't not exist. That
Right.
was a lot of negatives. Shadow King exists.
Okay, maybe for now I'll put him in B. Not because he doesn't
Yeah.
see play in a lot of decks, but you're right. The replaceability, if you go to copy a deck online and you don't have Red Guardian, you put in Shadow King, you put in Rogue, you
Rogue.
put in,
Yeah.
there's a few options. So I agree with that point. That's very smart. Loki, is he still, is he just S
Yeah.
tier? Like he gives you a
He's S
deck,
tier.
even if you
Look,
have
he's S tier.
no good cards?
He's no. He's S tier.
Yeah,
He's the best. Like in terms of power, he's the most powerful.
yeah,
I don't know if he's the best, but he's the most powerful.
yeah. And I think, too, thinking about newer players, if you look at a Loki deck,
Mhm.
Quinjet Series 3, Agent Coulson, I think might be Series 3, Collector you get even
His.
earlier. Like, it's a really cheap deck, and then you're just going to copy your opponent's Series 4 and Series 5 cards. So even if you're newer to
Mhm.
Snap, he'd let you win games.
See that Devil Dino deck you played in all two? Add Loki to that.
Proxima, is she B tier? Is she fine in
She
discard?
she has to be B tier. Like you can't. I think she's like you can play the modern discard list without Corvus, like the regular discard.
Yeah.
But you need Modoc, you need.
And Red Hulk is just a big stat stick, but he is so flexible. You put him in any deck, doesn't matter what you're doing, because he powers up based on what your opponent's doing. And the turn you draw him is he S tier.
He's the big stat stick of the game. I think. I'm still not convinced he's better than Mockingbird. They're sort of married in my head, but sure.
Yeah. And we can always move him down later if we
Yeah,
choose. But my biggest thing is he's so flexible. I mean, you just put him in anything, right? And he's going to be
yeah.
a stat
He's
stick.
why Gilgamesh is terrible.
Yeah, exactly. Nocturne. Nocturne, fun card. Kind of a tech card with decent power. Is she B
S.
tier? You think
She's S
S?
tier. She's S tier. She's Jeff, more or less. She's not
She,
as good as Jeff, but
right.
she's more or less Jeff. Like if you're like 90% of Jeff, what is she goes in Loki? She goes in Bounce. She goes in Move. She goes in Good Stuff. She goes in like everything. Just you pick a
Yeah,
deck
she
and
does. And
Marvel
actually,
Snap.
that's a
That's not
good point.
negative. She's not good at negative,
Yeah,
but
true. Or Cerebro 3. Um,
yeah,
but I think that's a good point.
Surfer.
Even if you're not playing a meta list, if you're building your own list, she's a deck builder's dream, right? She's so
Mhm.
efficient. You're getting a location change and a move in one card. So I actually like the argument for her as S tier. Then we've got Sebastian Shaw, really good in Toxic Surfer. That's about it. A tier, B tier if he's only working in
B
Toxic
tier.
Surfer.
Any surfer, but B tier.
Okay, then we've got Scar. Big Dumb Idiots. He still sees play. I think maybe
Yeah.
that's it.
No, there's some Nomura stuff that uses. He's a B.
Okay. Oh, Nomura stuff. Yeah, that's a good point. Then we've got Supergiant. Has never seen too much play. Still kind of newish, a couple months old. Where do we have Supergiant?
Somewhere between B and C, probably C based on play rate, but she's B in terms of like she's as good as all the.
Yeah, yeah, I agree with C tier. Then we've got Thanos. New Thanos. He's been changed a bit, but if you want to play a Thanos deck, you need Thanos himself. I mean, it's just a requirement. And so, where do we have Thanos?
So I have no idea. I'm gonna say B just because like might be B. B
Hmm.
seems like a reasonable guess. He is automatically for specific.
He is for specific decks, but he gives you the whole archetype when you get him.
No, he doesn't.
Well, I
No, he
mean, you
doesn't.
do need
Bullshit.
series 4 and 5
Complete
cards.
bullshit. You
Is
need a million series for.
the decks are
He
expensive?
gives you,
Is a good
he
point.
gives you one out of like even though he comes with 6 cards, like
Right. It is the
7 or 8 other of
expensive
those cards are high series.
card
The most
packages
expensive.
that are good with him. And used to
So
be Thanos Destroy was a bit cheaper, but
so
now you don't want to
cards
destroy.
I've seen in Thanos decks that are here that just
Sasquatch, Hope.
Ravona, Cannonball, Jeff, Loki,
That's a
Red
good point.
Hulk, um, Gladiator is in a recent one I saw. Um,
Yeah, he's
Blink,
expensive. You're right. The full package
Corvus, Mockingbird.
is
Like,
expensive. You
pick a
got me
Thanos
there.
deck.
You got me there. So I like the for specific decks now. I used to have them higher, but you're right.
Look, used to
If
be a must buy. Used to be like the card buy first, but
yeah,
times change.
the good Thanos decks are pricey. All right, I'll put him right here, and then we've got High Evo, who actually does give you a full archetype because his deck
Yes,
he's changing vanilla cards to give them abilities, and what Magic is Series 3, I
he's the
think.
first card you should buy.
Infinite you
If you're
get
just in
earlier.
Series 3, he's the first.
Yeah,
Buy him immediately.
he is super good. Then we've got Pixie, B tier.
Yeah, I mean, she and Mobius are a package, so if your deck has a bunch of high and low cost stuff, you just sort of throw her in,
Uh
which is not what anyone expected from her. But sure,
huh.
whatever. B.
Yeah, yeah, I like it. She's been seeing a bit more play recently, which is kind of nice. And then we've got U.S. Agent, who I think we kind of talked about earlier. Also, B tier. He didn't really see too much play. It's just like this one kind of specific archetype or, a couple variants of the Spectrum ongoing decks. So,
Uh,
automatic B tier.
Loki decks. He's in some Loki stuff
Oh,
too.
he's in
Yeah,
some Loki, yeah.
he's B. He's in a lot of decks at this point, and he's very good in that. He's underrated.
Yeah, well, he got buffed after he came out, too.
Yeah, yeah.
So, a lot of people
So
just
very
don't
few
have
people
him.
have him.
Yeah, yeah.
Quite good.
Yeah, a lot of people just miss out on him. Then we've got Valentina. My biggest problem with Valentina is she's very similar to Cable, and you get Cable in like Series 1 or Series 2, and I'm also under the impression that Cable's better, so it's like, why would you spend 6,000 tokens on a card that may or may not be worse than a card everyone has.
She and Cable remain very close in terms of which is better.
Yeah.
She's probably a C, but like she's another one like Super that I think is just close enough to a B.
Yeah, I agree. I like her in C tier for now. Then we've got the new Werewolf, and I don't think I've played him since he's now a 3 cost 1 power card. Where do you have
I
Werewolf?
have C. It's
He's
not
not
very good
good
anymore.
still?
I mean, so
Just not enough power?
half the. I mean, even when he can be like, what is you're trying to bounce around to Professor X,
Right. It's a
right?
bad
Like
time.
you gotta get him going Guardian or a Shadow King gets him, and like God forbid the opponent has any junk or mess with you.
White Widow, is she A tier? I mean, just good 2 cost you can
No,
put in any
she's
deck.
B tier.
Think B
She's B
tier?
tier. Like you just don't need her for anything except maybe junk.
Now we've got X23, who, if you want to play Destroy, you need
If
X23.
if Null's in haste, so is she.
Yeah, I agree. Man Thing, B tier?
I
C?
see.
High C, you
Yeah,
like?
I see.
Like the drink?
Like the drink. He's orange drink.
Then we've got Meek. Where do you think of Meek?
It's got to be a C. Fine, just not required, not really important. Just decent little stat stick.
Yeah, that most discard lists don't really care to play. I agree with that. Silk, I used to play a lot of Silk actually. I used to really like Silk, but I've kind of stopped recently, especially right now.
Silk is a series four. A bunch of these are series four cards now.
Oh yeah, the order got messed up. You're right. That's a good
Yeah.
catch. Where do you have Silk?
C, like the bottom of C at this point.
Yeah. Okay, then we've got Snowguard, also Series 4. Where's Snowguard? Still sees decent amount of play, like Loki decks and stuff.
She's in every single Loki deck.
Yeah,
Does she have to be an A for that?
I think so. That's my thought.
Okay,
And
do
she's
it.
only 3,000 tokens. Spider Ham, Series 4. Where does Spider Ham fall?
C.
Yeah.
Mobius keeps it from being like A.
Yeah, even with the talk of Thanos and how Spider Ham can
Yeah,
ruin
whatever.
Thanos, like if you're running Mobius, you just got a 0/10
A zero
still.
ten.
So like,
You're like, oh man, it can't be played anywhere, but it can be played for free.
yeah.
Fair
So
trade.
now we have Beta Ray Bill. Is it B? Is it C?
Yeah, okay, fine, B. But he's like one of the best Bs.
Yeah, he's definitely not a bad card. I'm not saying he's a bad card. Then we have Galactus. Doesn't really see any play. Is he C? Is he F? Is he still B if
He's
you go for
C.
a specific
He's
deck?
C.
Yeah.
He's C. Although, like, if you do count fun factor, because then he's B.
That's true. If you count fun or annoying your opponent's factor. Now we have Grandmaster, recently buffed to having 2 power. Where do we have Grandmaster now? Pretty replaceable, but he's a little bit of play. He's an option you can try
One
out.
of the better Fs.
You think he's F still?
Yeah, well, he's like Black Swan, like Kara level.
Okay. All right. Hope
Right.
Summers, S tier, A tier. What are your thoughts?
A tier. A tier.
Next we've
S
got
tier.
Nico. Yeah, S tier, right?
Oh yeah, S tier. Best one. I don't know if it's the best one of the kitties,
It's
but
got to
one of
be
the best ones in the game.
one of the best
Fantastic.
ones, and it is fairly flexible. It's just good to have in your
Yeah.
collection. What about
Ready for my
Nomura?
hot take?
I'm gonna
Ready?
try and predict because Nomura I've heard is doing pretty well at the top of like ladder boards, so I wouldn't be surprised if you put Nomura in A tier.
So she's either the bottom of A or the top of A. You can see either one.
All right, then we've got War Machine is a C tier. Is it
So
worse?
can we? So it should be C, but I vote we give it an because this is a Professor X meta, and
Well, you're saying give it F because it should be good in this
because
meta.
it
But
had one job. It had one job, and it failed miserably at its job.
yeah. Okay, then we've
Oh, I
got
don't know what to do with this.
Sasquatch. Where do you rank Sasquatch? He's hard to rank for me.
Top of B, bottom of A. For now, let's put him in B.
You think
Like he's
he's?
worse than Mockingbird
Do you think he's worse than Nomura?
right now.
Okay.
Do I think he's worse than Nomura in 2 weeks? I don't know.
Right. Okay. I like that logic.
Move Nomura down to B. Nomura A is just a hot take for content. If you want the content take,
The hot take.
but
I like both these in B. I like Nomura going down. Yeah, both kind of dependent on the meta, like you mentioned. That's a very good point. Then we got Iron Lad. Doesn't see as much play as he used to. Used to be everywhere, but he's still
it's a B.
very flexible. You think he's B now?
I think he should be an A, but he's a B.
Yeah, he just
Like he just doesn't see play.
it's
the wrong
crazy,
meta.
isn't it crazy? All right, then we've got Sage. Is she S tier, A tier? Is she in danger of getting nerfed? What do we think?
She's A, and I don't think she's getting nerfed. I think she's very good, but she's fine.
Then we've got
S,
Thena, who's very new, but has been very, very strong.
S.
So yeah, we're thinking S. Are
Ah.
we worried about her getting nerfed?
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
she'll be a 2-0 by a week and a half from.
Or you make
Um,
her a 2/2 +2 so she loses a little bit of Ravonna help and
I
she only gets
I
+2 each time. It'd still be really good, but it'd be
I
worse.
don't think they're gonna do that right away. I think the first thing they always
Yeah, they
do is
always just lower the floor or the power.
yeah, yeah. Every time they've been so consistent.
Glazer, quick question for you. How many Series 4 and Series 5 cards do we currently have in the game? Do you know?
Uh,
The number of cards
a
on this
lot,
list.
a lot.
You have a guess?
70, 70.
You are very close. It is, in fact, 69 at this very moment.
Yeah, that's too many.
That's a lot of
I mean,
cards.
nice, but it's
Nice.
too many.
Yeah, no, it's
So
crazy.
Gilgamesh will be 70 when Gilgamesh joins the list,
Well,
or
Cersei's going to be 70.
Cersei's gonna be 70.
Yeah.
Cersei, not nice.
Gilgamesh, do we think he's F? Is it too early to call him F, is my question?
We're judging on the meta right now. Then
He does suck right now.
he's like so bad. He's so bad. I keep playing him and being like, why is this card in my deck?
Right, just use Red
Like,
Hawk.
I was so happy when he wasn't in weekend missions. I was
Yeah. What do we think about dropping down Nocturne?
so Nocturne Evolutionary can go down.
Yeah.
Probably so can Nico, even though it hurts.
All right, so that is our list. I think this is a really good list. I think it's really updated. I've been doing this every month, but after the last couple months, it started to kind of look outdated and need a big refresh. So I do appreciate you very much, Glazer, for coming on, helping me out, rank all these cards, give people a bit assistance and trying to figure out which cards to chase after. Is there anything you want to say to the viewers?
Thanks for watching. Make sure you're subbed to Docty. Hit that like, hit that comment, watch for as long as you can. It really does help his view.
Okay, so you know Glazer is a YouTube aficionado when he signs off like that. If you're not already following his YouTube, which I assume all of you already are, make sure you check it out, and I'll definitely link it above because he covers all the best decks basically every day, every week, and he's just awesome. So thank you, everybody. Have a good one, and until then, stay positive. I'll see you next time.